Original post: my daughter refuses to call me mom, blames me for her dad's death, and I finally kicked her out. I never thought I'd be here, typing out my life story for strangers on the internet, but I honestly don't know what else to do. My daughter has completely turned against me, and no matter what I do, she refuses to see me as anything but the villain in her life. I'm at my breaking point, and after everything I've provided for her, after all the sacrifices I've made, I'm questioning if I even owe her anything anymore. I was married for over 18 years. My husband was a good man, a steady man. He provided, he loved our daughter, and he was the type of person you could always count on. But here's the thing. The marriage was stable, yes, but it was also cold. There was no passion, no excitement, nothing that made me feel alive anymore. For years I tried to convince myself it was enough. That stability was better than passion. That comfort was better than fire. But deep down, I was miserable. I felt invisible in my own home. My husband was more focused on work and routine than on me. And when you spend years starving emotionally, eventually you break. I made the mistake of seeking that attention elsewhere. I know I'll get dragged here for admitting this, but yes, I cheated. Not out of hatred, not because I didn't love my family, but because I felt like I was suffocating. I thought I had found someone who saw me again, who reminded me I was a woman and not just a wife, not just a mother. That someone is now my current husband. When my ex found out, it was the end. He filed for divorce almost immediately. It was messy, painful, humiliating. Our daughter, who was 15 at the time, chose to stay with him and barely spoke to me. I tried reaching out, but she made it very clear. I was the bad guy in her story. After the divorce, my ex-husband fell into a deep depression. He had always been emotionally sensitive, and while I never thought he would actually do anything drastic, 2 years later he took his own life. I was devastated. Despite everything, he had been my partner for nearly 2 decades, the father of my child. But my daughter? She looked at me like I might as well have put the rope around his neck myself. She told me point blank, "He's dead because of you. You broke him." Do you know how painful it is to hear that from your own child? To be told you killed the person you once loved? She didn't care that the marriage had been dead long before I cheated. She didn't care that depression is complicated, and that one person's actions don't solely cause it. To her, it was simple. Dad was gone, and it was Mom's fault. Eventually, I remarried. My current husband is supportive, loving, and actually treats me like I matter. We tried to give my daughter a home, a family again. I thought that with time, she would come around, that she would see we weren't trying to replace her dad, but just give her stability again. But she rejected us from the start. She refused to even try with my husband. Wouldn't call him by his first name respectfully, let alone Dad. She'd say things like, "You're not my real family. He'll never replace my father. You're just playing house while Dad rots in the ground." Do you know what it's like to have those words hurled at you in your own home? After you put food on the table, pay for her school, keep a roof over her head? I bent over backwards trying to show her love, to give her stability, but nothing was enough. I won't lie. My daughter became entitled and cruel. She would slam doors, ignore rules, and throw tantrums like a child even though she was already 17, then 18, and now in her 20s. She constantly disrespected both me and my husband. Anytime we asked for basic respect, she'd turn it into a war about her dad's death. I understand grief. I do. But at what point does grief become an excuse to stay stuck in bitterness forever? I lost him too. I lost my marriage, my family, my stability. But I didn't spend years lashing out at everyone around me. And what hurts the most is that she refuses to acknowledge the things I have done for her. I've supported her financially, I've given her a place to live, I've tried to include her in holidays, family events, everything. But to her, I'll always just be the woman who killed Dad. After 2 years of this constant hostility, I finally snapped. We had another argument where she said she'd never call us family, and that she wished I had died instead of her dad. That was it for me. I told her if she couldn't show even the slightest respect for the people providing for her, she needed to leave, and I kicked her out. She stormed off to stay with friends and some extended relatives. At first, I thought she'd cool down and come back. But she hasn't. She refuses to come home. refuses to answer my calls, and tells everyone I'm a monster who abandoned her. Here's where I'm stuck. I feel hurt, betrayed, and abandoned by my own daughter. I tried to rebuild a life after a broken marriage. I tried to create a home for her. And instead of gratitude, I got venom and accusations. I know I made mistakes. I know cheating was wrong. But does one mistake mean I have to pay for it forever? Does it mean I deserve to be treated like garbage in my own home? I've given her every opportunity to heal, but she refuses. She clings to the past like it's her identity. At some point, doesn't she have to grow up and accept that life isn't perfect? That people make mistakes, that families change? So now I'm sitting here, with an empty bedroom down the hall, wondering if I made the right choice or if I just lost my daughter for good. Was I wrong to kick her out? Or is she just refusing to grow up and accept reality? To those of you who told me to keep trying, to keep groveling, I can't. I've tried, and I've been rejected at every turn. To those of you who told me I'm a terrible person, maybe I am, but I'm not going to let my daughter define me by one mistake forever. One day, maybe she'll wake up and realize I wasn't her enemy. Maybe she'll see that I was trying to give her a future, while she clung to the past. Maybe she'll even regret walking away. But until then, I'm done. So here I am, back again, not because I think Reddit will magically fix my life, but because I need to get this out. My daughter refuses to see me as her mother, refuses to see my husband as family, and refuses to let go of the past. She's made it her mission to punish me for the rest of my life for mistakes I cannot undo. But I'm done begging. I'm done letting her bitterness poison my home. If she wants to call me a monster, fine. If she wants to live with relatives who coddle her and whisper in her ear that she's right, fine. If she wants to pretend she doesn't have a mother, fine. I won't beg anymore. The most recent time I saw her was just last week. She showed up at the house unannounced, and for a moment I let myself hope maybe she wanted to talk. Maybe she had finally cooled down and wanted to try again. But no. She came because she wanted some of her dad's old belongings. Photos, letters, things I've kept stored away. She demanded I give them to her. I told her no. Those things are precious, and I don't believe clinging to them will help her move on. She already lives in the past. Why should I feed into that? I told her she needs to heal, and holding on to his things forever won't bring him back. That's when she exploded. She screamed that I was a monster, that I was erasing him from her life. She said she hated me, hated my husband, and wished she never had to see us again. Then she stormed out. I stood there shaking not from guilt, but from rage. I've given her everything, and still she spits in my face. What really stings is how everyone outside of my home sees me. My relatives criticize me constantly. How could you kick out your daughter after her father's suicide? She needed love, not rejection. As if I haven't given her love. As if I haven't provided, supported, and cared for her all these years. Do they think love means letting someone scream in your face every day? Do they think being a good mother means allowing your child to disrespect you endlessly without consequences? I lost my marriage. I lost my daughter's trust. I lost my peace. And now the very people who should understand me the most are piling on with accusations instead of support. I can tell this whole ordeal has worn on my husband too. He genuinely tried to bond with her in the beginning. He offered to take her to events, supported her schooling, even tried to give her advice when she needed it. But no matter what he did, she shut him down. One time, when he tried to gently suggest she talk to someone about her grief, she turned to him and said, "You'll never replace my dad. Stop pretending like you matter to me." After that, something in him broke too. He became quieter around her, stopped trying to reach out. And honestly, I don't blame him. There's only so many times you can extend your hand before you accept the other person is just going to slap it away. He's been supportive of me, but I can see the frustration in his eyes. He doesn't say it out loud, but I know he wonders if bringing her into our home was a mistake. A couple of weeks after she left, she came back to the house. Not to reconcile, but to grab more of her things. The second she walked through the door, the tension was suffocating. I tried to be civil. I asked her how she was doing, if she needed anything. She gave me one-word answers, avoided eye contact, and acted like I was some stranger who had ruined her life. Finally, She dropped the mask and snapped. You chose your affair over Dad. Don't pretend you care about me now. That cut deeper than I wanted to admit. I told her I didn't want to fight, that maybe we could talk about therapy, try to work through things with a professional. But she just laughed and said, therapy won't fix you. You and your fake husband are the problem. Then she stormed upstairs, packed a few bags, and left without another word. I'll admit, when she first left, there was an immediate sense of relief. The house was quiet again. No slamming doors, no muttered insults under her breath, no constant tension hanging over every meal. For the first time in years, I could sit in my living room and not feel like I was under attack. She went to stay with my relatives, my own family, who clearly enjoy feeding into her bitterness. They've always been the type to meddle, and now they've made themselves her saviors. From what I hear, they let her stay rent-free, cook for her, and coddle her like she's still a child. They're not helping her heal. They're enabling her to stay stuck in the past and continue villainizing me. They paint me as some heartless witch who kicked out her grieving daughter, but they never stop to consider what it's like for me. I lost my marriage. I lost the man I spent nearly 20 years with. I lost my daughter emotionally long before I ever told her to leave. And now, apparently, I've lost the rest of my family too, because they've all taken her side. But somehow I'm the monster. Update. Well, I didn't expect so many people to have such strong opinions about my situation. Honestly, reading through the comments was brutal. Some of you were sympathetic, and I appreciate that. But the majority? You tore me apart. You called me a cheater, a bad mother, a narcissist. You said I ruined my daughter's life and that I deserved to lose her. You act like everything that happened is solely my fault, like I personally orchestrated her father's death and forced her to hate me. Let me make something clear. Unless you've dealt with an ungrateful, spiteful child who refuses to move on from the past, you don't get to sit on your high horse and tell me I'm a monster. None of you lived in my house. None of you had to deal with the constant disrespect, the yelling, the accusations. None of you know how exhausting it is to be blamed every single day for something you cannot change. So for everyone who wants me to grovel and beg for my daughter's forgiveness, no, I've done enough. Final update. I guess this will be my last update because there's really nothing left to say. My daughter has made her decision, and it's clear she wants nothing to do with me. I can't keep writing the same story over and over, hoping for a different ending. She's cut me off permanently, and now I have no choice but to accept it. A few weeks ago, she made it official. She's moved in with my relatives full-time. From what I hear, they've basically taken her in as if she were their own daughter, which is ironic considering how little they cared about her when she was younger. But now, suddenly, they're heroes for rescuing her from me. She's blocked my number on her phone. She won't answer my emails. She hasn't stepped foot in this house since the last blow-up about her father's belongings. As far as she's concerned, I don't exist anymore. It's one thing to have fights with your child. It's another to realize they've erased you completely. She's made it crystal clear. In her story, I'm the villain, and she doesn't want a villain in her life. So here I am, in a house that feels both quieter and emptier than ever. My husband is still here, supportive in his way. We go out, we laugh, we have dinners together. To an outsider, I probably look like I've rebuilt my life, like I'm happy. And I am, on some level. But the bitterness doesn't go away. Because no matter what, there's still this gnawing thought in the back of my head. I gave her everything. I gave her food, clothes, education, a home. I gave her stability when her father was gone. And she threw it all away. She spit on it, rejected it, acted like none of it mattered because it came from me. So yes, I get up in the morning, I live my life, and I smile when people ask me how things are going. But underneath it all, there's this hard pit of resentment that never leaves. I've had a lot of time to think. And maybe this is just my fate. First, I lost my husband. Yes, we divorced because of my mistake, but I never wanted him gone forever. His death shattered me too. People forget that. They talk like I just moved on and never looked back. But I lost him. I lost the man who was my partner for nearly 2 decades. And then because of that, I lost my daughter too. She abandoned me emotionally the moment she chose to blame me for everything. And now she's abandoned me physically too. It feels like life has punished me far too harshly for one mistake. Was cheating wrong? Of course. But is it worth losing both the man I once loved and the child I gave birth to? Does one bad choice mean you deserve to live out the rest of your life as the villain, with everyone treating you like garbage? Sometimes it feels like I've been marked forever for something I can't undo. My current husband doesn't talk about her anymore. At first, he tried to be patient, to encourage me to keep reaching out. But eventually, even he grew tired of the cycle. The fighting, the rejection, the endless accusations. Now if I bring her up, he just shrugs and says, "She made her choice." And maybe he's right. Maybe she did. He doesn't carry the same guilt I do, because she was never his child to begin with. But at the same time, I can see the relief in him too. Our home is calmer, steadier, and in his mind, we've done all we can. He doesn't feel like we owe her anything anymore. Do I regret things? Sometimes, yes. I look back and think maybe I should have handled the divorce differently. Maybe I should have begged my ex harder to go to counseling. Maybe I should have been more patient with my daughter's grief instead of trying to fix it on my timeline. Maybe I should have swallowed my pride and let her scream at me without consequence. But then I remind myself, she never gave me a chance. From the moment she found out about the affair, I was the villain and she was the victim. There was no space for nuance, no room for forgiveness. She decided I was guilty, and nothing I could do would change her mind. So yes, I regret some things. But I also know I was fighting a battle I could never win. So here's where I stand. My daughter has cut me off. She lives with my relatives now, who enable her and talk about me behind my back. My ex-husband is gone. My current husband and I live our lives together, but there's always that shadow hanging over us. And me? I've stopped begging. I've stopped chasing after someone who only wants to see the worst in me. I can't force her to accept me, and I can't change the past. She may call us a fake family. She may say I'm a monster. She may blame me for things that were never entirely my fault. But one day, when the dust settles and the people enabling her finally step back, she'll realize she walked away from the only people who truly cared enough to keep a roof over her head and food on her table. She'll realize she lost more than I did. And when that day comes, I won't be waiting with open arms anymore. Daughter's response: my mother calls me ungrateful, but she's the one who destroyed our family. I wasn't planning to write this, but after seeing how my mother twisted the story, I can't stay quiet anymore. She paints herself as some poor victim who lost everything because of one mistake. But the truth is, she didn't just make a mistake. She destroyed my family, broke my father, and left me with scars I'll carry for the rest of my life. My dad was one of the kindest men you could ever meet. He wasn't perfect, but he loved me with every piece of his heart. He worked hard, provided for us, and still found time to ask about my day, help me with homework, or sit with me when I was upset. But then I started noticing things change. He seemed quieter, sadder. At first, I thought it was stress from work. I had no idea my mom was cheating on him. When he found out, it shattered him. I still remember the look on his face the day he told me Mom wasn't the woman he thought she was. I'd never seen him cry before. That day broke me, because when your dad, the strongest man in your world, falls apart, you don't know how to process it. After the divorce, things only got worse. Dad tried to put on a brave face for me, but I could see how badly he was hurting. He barely ate some days. Other days he'd sit in silence for hours, staring at nothing. He told me once that he felt like a failure, like his whole life had been a lie. I tried everything. I begged him to talk to someone, to let me help, to remember that I still needed him. But he couldn't shake the pain of being betrayed by the woman he'd trusted for almost 20 years. And then 2 years later he was gone. He ended his own life. I can't describe the kind of devastation that brings. It wasn't just losing a parent. It was watching someone you love crumble piece by piece, knowing you couldn't save them, and then waking up one day to realize they're never coming back. And yes, I blame my mom for that. She can make excuses all day long about being unhappy or feeling invisible. But the truth is, if she hadn't cheated, if she hadn't left him for another man, my dad might still be here. Not long after my dad's death, she remarried to the man she cheated with. Can you imagine how that felt? My father wasn't even cold in the ground before she replaced him. She tried to spin it as moving on or finding happiness again. But to me, it was betrayal all over again. She had burned everything to the ground, and instead of picking up the ashes with me, she started a brand new life like our old one didn't matter. Her new husband was never Dad. He never could be. Every time I looked at him, all I saw was the man who stood in the ruins of my father's life. And my mom expected me to just smile and accept it. After Dad died, I didn't have many choices. I was still young, and financially, I couldn't live on my own. So I moved back in with my mom. I thought maybe, just maybe, things could get better. But the truth is, I never felt welcome there. She wanted me to play along with her happy family act. Holidays, dinners, pictures, everything staged so it looked like we were one big loving unit. But underneath it was suffocating. Anytime I tried to talk about my dad, she'd shut me down. She'd say things like, "You live in the past," or "You'll never heal if you keep clinging to him." It felt like she was gaslighting me, like she wanted to erase him from my memory, so she wouldn't have to face her own guilt. The breaking point came during one of our many arguments. She kept pushing me to accept her husband, to see him as a father figure. I told her I'd never call him Dad. My dad was gone, and no one could replace him. That's when she lost it. She told me if I couldn't respect her husband and treat them like family, I needed to leave. And she meant it. She actually threw me out of the house. Do you know what that feels like? To have your mother choose her new husband over you? She says she kicked me out because I was disrespectful. But the truth is, she couldn't stand having me around because I reminded her of the family she destroyed. She chose him over me. Again. I'm with relatives now. People who actually listen when I cry, who don't try to erase my father's memory. They don't call me ungrateful when I grieve. They don't demand I pretend like everything's okay when it's not. It's not perfect. I'm still grieving. I still wake up some nights in tears, wishing my dad was here. But at least I feel safe. At least I don't feel like I'm walking on eggshells, pretending to love a family that never felt real. I haven't spoken to my mom since she threw me out, and I don't plan to. I've blocked her number, ignored her emails, and cut her out of my life the same way she cut me out of hers. My mom says I'm ungrateful. She says I refuse to move on. She says I'll regret cutting her off one day. But here's the truth. I never asked for this broken family. I never asked for her betrayal, for my father's pain, for his death. I never asked to be forced into a new family that only reminded me of what I lost. She may think I'll regret walking away, but I won't. I've already lost the only parent who ever made me feel loved and safe. My mom is alive, but she's been gone to me since the day she chose her affair over my dad. So no, I don't forgive her. I won't forgive her. My dad is gone because of her, and I'll never forgive her for that.